Good morning. I want to call the Community Services Committee meeting to order. And Councilor Jordan, would you do the invocation for us? Thank you.
Our Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that you allowed each one of us to be here today. Please watch over us as we take care of the business of Cherokee Nation today and guide our hand and mind in making the right decisions. Take care of the people that we have serving in the armed forces overseas, and let us all be able to be blessed during the next month. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amen.
Feel like you do the roll, please.
Harley Bezer.
Here.
Chris Soap. Bill England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Julia Coates. Here. Bradley Cobb. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk. Meredith Rayleigh. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin. Tanya Gloria Jordan.
Present.
Curtis Snell. David Thornton. Kara Calvin Watts. Honey, we do that with quorum.
Thank you. I want to thank the staff for coming to our meeting this morning and welcome everybody out in the outer Cherokee Nations to our meeting. So we're going to move on with the approval of minutes for the March 15, 2011 regular session. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion made and second. Any discussions on the minutes?
Even though I was not in attendance, I just want to be, it marked as meeting in attendance. I do want it noted that I was attending via video conference, but just not legally in attendance for a vote.
So moved. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. We'll move on to reports, and the first is Miss Norman there. Norman? Good morning. Thanks for the report. So anyway, I think we've had a chance to look at it. But anyway, I'd like to give you this opportunity to bring some stuff forward that you may have left out or want to announce.
Well, I don't think I left it out. I think it's stuff that's happened. I'll bring you glad tidings.
Good.
Hey, like good news.
Good.
This will be especially interesting to these folks here to my right. We received the ICDBG grant to build the food distribution warehouse in Collinsville.
All right.
So I could have told you a little earlier, but I wanted to surprise you.
And Norman, when do you think that might get started? Is it anytime?
Well, we haven't even received the money yet.
I see.
But
So you
it's
did
just,
get the approval.
it's just been granted. So I would like to say that we'd hope to have it built by December of 2012, but I'm not the builder.
Okay.
Okay. In that grant, we also, that was a two-part grant, and we received funding for both parts. The other was a micro-enterprise project that Commerce was funded for. And Shay here, I'll let Shay and Anna talk about that, but we were successful on both sides of that grant application, so we're real pleased about that. The other good news, money-wise, that we received a grant from the Citgo Corporation for $500,000 to buy heating fuel for our folks that received LIHEAP, and that's especially good news in light of the fact that we're not sure if LIHEAP is going to be fully funded at the same level. That's the good news. There's not really bad news with it. The only part is that we have to spend it by the end of June, so it's not exactly the heating season. We just received it, but we received this grant last year, and I think it was just about $200,000, so we got a big increase this year.
So what's your plans to get that?
Well, what we're doing is we're filling propane tanks and doing things of that nature. So we're going to be real busy getting that $500,000 spent and making sure it benefits these folks.
The price of propane, it probably won't take too much.
No. So that's good news. Other good news is that I think most of you are aware that we started the infant immersion class that takes us from 0 to 3, which matches up with the existing immersion program, and that's in our Child Development Center. And we have 5 little participants from age 8 months to 2 years. And one reason I wanted to let you know this is because we are looking for another person to work in that classroom. If you know anyone, Of course, it is in Tahlequah, so it'd have to be within driving distance, but we're looking for a fluent speaker who's very good with children, loves to be with little children. We prefer that they have a child care credentials, but if they don't, we can work with that to get it. They would need to contact Lori Hand and for information.
Yes, Counselor Watts, you have a question?
Thank you. So they don't have to be, like literate in the syllabary, they just have to be fluent in the language?
That is my understanding. They just have to be able to speak fluently,
Okay.
and they'll be graded, I think.
Before you leave, there is someone on staff that would be better utilized in that role, but I'll tell you offline.
Okay,
So-
that would be good. Thank you. Also, I wanted to mention, again, the FDPIR Food Distribution National Conference will be at the Hard Rock, and I believe you all have been sent information about that conference. It's in June. I believe it's the 5th through the 10th. We sent it to Gail, I believe. So I would really encourage you, because it is in Tulsa, it is a national conference. We're kind of in the lead on this conference, and I think it's going to be quite good. So if you would take a look, and it would be an inexpensive one for folks to attend. So we would really like to have you there to represent the Cherokee Nation. And with that, I've brought you all the good news I have today.
Well, that is some good news. Any more questions? Any questions for Norm? Mr. Baker?
Yeah, last month, I'd asked Dallas, have you worked on or can you work on other than just the one vendor for the kids vouchers?
We bid that out, and there was only one person that answered the bid, is my understanding.
Okay.
I can get you the criteria for the bid, and if you know someone that might not have looked at the bid, who wanted to chat with us, that would be fine.
Okay, we'll see that.
Okay, I'll send that to you. I'll send it to everybody. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Next up is Charlie Sells. Charlie, you want to come up? And I got your report, good report again, but as usual, we'd like to give you a chance to take it on.
So, do you have my report? Do you have any questions?
I did have a question, but it had to do with roads, so I'll wait on Michael to end on that. Ms. Fulbright.
I have a comment. The day that Councilman Thornton and I happened along up to look at the 15 new houses, Charlie just happened to be there and gave us the grand tour, and it was very impressive. Each home is sitting on 5 acres, and it's got a beautiful entrance and a little school bus stop, and we looked around in 2 or 3 different houses. They're very nice homes, and look like they're just about all complete, and it's just a great accomplishment, and you're doing a great job. And we really enjoyed it, didn't we, Dave?
We sure do.
Mr. Becker has a question.
Well, they're moving along as rapidly as we can, and we've had some setbacks because of weather, but still working really hard to complete those by the deadline. If any of you want to come out and volunteer and help us, we would sure like to have them do it. And there's an able-bodied people to help us.
Mr. Becker.
Last month, I asked you where we were on cost on those homes.
Okay, let me see, so I can get that to you, Bill. Actually, we're up to, right now, up to this point, we're about $113,923 per house. But it could come down because of the work that we're doing now.
Say again?
It could come down because we lack a few more houses. They're all staying at the point of being brought in, except one. And that we should be putting the walls up today, and the brought-in state probably by mid next week.
And how big are these homes?
These are just a regular. What is that dimension on that? Yeah, something standard 3-bedroom on 12 something. I forgot 334 something like that. I'll get that to you, Bill, if you want. I thought about that this morning, I just got to check on it.
So, a little over $100 a foot.
How much?
A little over $100 a foot.
Probably something like that.
Okay.
Got any more?
No.
Ms. Jordan.
Charlie, did I understand you to say that was just to this point where the houses are dried in, that they're costing us $113,000?
Yeah,
So there's going to be an expense to finishing them out, is that right?
it's gonna be what?
An expense, additional expenses to finishing the
Oh, yeah,
houses inside?
absolutely. Yeah. But I'm not sure it's gonna be the increase the cost of the house gonna go up, because, like I said, there's still like about 4 that we're working on it to bring the total cost down.
The dried-in stage represents approximately what percentage of completion of the home?
Well, right now, see where we're at, there's, let's see, at least, there's 6 or 7 of them that's up to where they've been painted inside now, and the cabinets are being installed, the floor covering is being installed, and so that's where we're at on some of these. And then there's others are being sheet rock, and there's got 2 of them that's been framed, 1, 2, there's 2 of them that's been framed and taken to the dry-in stage, but there's 1 that we lack, and the walls are going to be going up today. So,
What did we anticipate the total cost per house would be at the beginning of the project?
Ashley, do we have a number on that? Ashley, did we anticipate the total cost of each house? In Redbird? The question is, did we anticipate the total cost of each house?
What this 113 per home is that's the total cost we were given for the Redbird housing alone, and we have not spent up to that much yet. So that's why the cost could possibly come down, is that's the total given to us, but it's not looking like it is going to cost quite that much.
Okay.
But that includes the 1,200 and something square foot home, the carport, geothermal system, aerobics on all of them, water meters, that's everything.
Okay, so that was, I misunderstood what Charlie said. I thought he said 113 up to the other one.
No, that's the most it's going to
Okay.
cost us.
Does that include the land too?
That does not include the purchase of the land. It does not include the road or the water line put in by our water and sanitation.
If you were to add that in, the 5 acres and the infrastructure percentage divided out amongst the houses.
Break it down per those 15
Yeah.
houses and the number of houses that could go on the property.
Do what?
By the 15 houses or the total number of properties that could go, or the total number of homes that could go on that property.
So you anticipate more homes going on the 5 acres?
I believe that was the original intention.
But we don't know if that will ever happen, because we
Right.
don't know if extended family
Yes, ma'am.
will ultimately move in there. So right now, the only thing we can project is probably the 5 acre cost on this one home,
Yes, ma'am.
along with the percentage of infrastructure for all of the homes that are currently being built there.
Okay.
Can you give us an estimate of
I
what that
I
would
can
be?
get that for you. I don't know
Okay.
the original cost of the land
If you
myself,
would,
so
if you
yeah, I
would
can
give
get
that to us, I would certainly
Okay.
appreciate it. I think that gives us a real accurate estimate of the cost per home right now. If we're putting 15 homes up, I believe that's what you said,
We're
Charlie,
putting
is that
15
right?
homes up now, yeah.
15 homes, that would give us a real accurate picture of the total cost. Now, my additional question is, what's the payback on those homes?
Well, I'm not sure yet at this time. That's something that we're looking at, and so we have to take it to administration, make sure that we had the final cost, what the payback's going to be.
And whatever the payback is, prior to the people moving into the home, they will be asked to sign all necessary paperwork
Yes.
so that we have a secured
Contract.
loan.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And you will keep us advised as to what the total payback amount is we're gonna ask per home. Will that vary, or will that be a
Probably
standard
vary.
amount?
I don't believe it's been decided yet.
Okay. So the people know they're gonna get the homes, but they don't know what the homes are gonna cost?
They will,
Okay.
they will.
But the people have already been selected for those homes?
There's probably about 6 of them, 6 or 7,
Okay.
because what we're up now is because the uncertainty is going to be because of this, because we want to be able to give them accurate information, this is what your total cost is going to be, and then your payments and that, we're still at that stage. And the other thing that we're looking at is this going to be on trust land, is it going to be housing authority land? That's still being decided how we're going to go with that. So instead of pursuing, and we have several applications on file, and instead of people asking questions where we will say, I don't know, we want to make sure that we tell them accurate information, all the information they need to know. So
we've built the homes, we don't know the families that are going in them, and we don't know the cost yet, and we don't know who's going to hold the title. Is that correct?
we've got applications. When we first started out,
It's a little bit backwards, isn't it, Charlie?
not really.
Don't you think
When we
you
first
ought to
started out,
select
when we
people
first started out,
first and-
this was, we were meeting with the Redbird people in that area, and Dave Teehee and the rest of the people were involved in the planning, and we were going to do the houses for the groups there, and we were taking applications. But unfortunately, like I said earlier, there were several of those were UKB members, and which they couldn't qualify for housing because they have their own housing program. So then we just kept taking applications from people around that area. So, and then come to a point where we're saying now is who's going to be in these homes. Let's just put a hold on because we don't know if the land's going to be in trust or housing authority land. So let's just kind of hold on. But we're still taking applications. So on that. So I don't think it'd be a problem getting people in those homes.
Is the goal, Charlie, to allow them to achieve full home ownership with owning the land too? Or is the goal to keep the land in a trust or trust status?
That's up to administration to decide on that, whether it's going to go into trust or if the homeowner's going to own the land.
Because I would think that would make a big difference to the
It does.
people.
That's why we said we couldn't move forward, because some people saying, I'm not going on the land and I want the house, we don't know what to decide, or some of them say, okay, we want to know. Some of them just didn't care whether they owned the land or not, they just wanted a place to live.
Would you keep us advised as that
Absolutely.
those issues progress forward?
But
Thank you.
Thornton, you had a question, comment?
Yeah, that funding that we got just to build the homes, does that come from the stimulus funding
that's
that we got?
the
from the federal
stimulus
government?
project that we're working on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not,
Did the paving, did that come from that funding also? And the water came from that funding? So
all
this
stimulus.
is all federal funding from the stimulus program that's going into this. And those 15 houses at, what is it, 113,000 a piece, or 114,000, whatever what it is, will come to $1,700,000, something like that? Or am I wrong? Is that right?
That's correct.
you're talking about the houses? I mean, all
Yeah.
for the homes?
Yes.
For the total cost of the project or what?
You know, just for the homes, but
Yeah.
then the roads, did we put any curving in there?
No, we put the graded roads in there, and then we put tin horns in there, but we're not putting no curving in there.
Now, there's also room in there for how many more homes?
Well, geez, there's 190 some acres of this, so you could put plenty more homes in there.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of room for
Yeah,
several.
it's a big area. But again, and there's a cemetery there, so the ceremonial people, David and them asked if they could have some land, additional land for their cemetery, and
Yeah,
they were given extra land.
I think 10 more acres, wasn't
I
it?
think 10 more acres, and then there's an area there where they have where they do their medicine. And I think we gave them a couple of acres there to sort of preserve the area where they do their medicine. And also there's hopefully in the future, there's a plan to replicate Redbird's home.
Yeah, that's what, my next question
And
was.
they talked about having a community building there, so there's some of the ideas out there for the people that they have.
And
asked for.
Redbird is buried on that land, isn't it?
Yes, I think so, yeah, right. Uh-huh.
He's in that little cemetery there.
Yeah, in that little cemetery they have, yeah.
That's also adjacent to the Redbird Stomp Ground, which was probably the first
Right
stomp
across
ground
the
in
street,
that
right across the
country.
road, yeah. Yeah. It's a historical place there.
You know, $1,700,000, and you're not for sure that it's gonna cost $1,700,000, is that what I'm getting at?
For the homes alone.
You don't know exactly what they're gonna cost, but you know that they come in under that, right? Okay. And you said do you have enough applications to cover the 50?
Yeah, there's people coming through all the
Yeah,
time.
I know.
I mean, there's people driving through there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, there's a lot
So
of.
it's not gonna be a
people
problem
thinking
putting everybody in.
You know, I know some of the family there at Redbirds, quite a few of them,
Oh, yeah.
and they're pretty proud.
Yeah, but they speak highly
Have
of
that
the
building
nation, what
there.
they're doing, yeah. Actually, there's anyway, I was told that the prophecy is being
prophecy
fulfilled, what's
is that,
taking
yeah.
place here. It's quite a moving story, what the older medicine man was telling me there.
Yeah,
So, they're glad we're doing it.
it's pretty neat.
It is, really neat, yeah.
Well, y'all are really doing a good job, and I
you.
appreciate y'all very much.
Working hard, the
And-
staff's doing really good.
Yeah, I know, I've checked on it up there time and time again, but
I
anyway.
appreciate that.
You know, I think you're doing a good job, and it's putting our Cherokees to work and giving them something to do, and at least we're not losing money like we are in other places.
There's been
I appreciate
volunteers,
that.
there's been volunteers come out there too, which they really like that project, so the number of volunteers that's been involved.
Yeah. I appreciate that much. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Ms. Fishing Hawk, you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I got a question. Every time I turn around, we're using aerobic systems.
It's what?
Aerobic systems for the sewer. I don't understand it. I know out at Smith Phillips, I was looking to buy that land before we bought it. I drove by there, I said, I want that land. My brother said, Jody, look at the land when it rains. It's a swamp. You ain't gonna build a house there because I won't build it for you. And we bought the land and built houses. And I don't understand because I get calls
Which
from
one are you
them
talking about?
about the aerobic system and everything, because there's
Okay.
aerobic systems out there, and I know it adds to the cost, and I
Wait,
heard
wait,
y'all
wait,
put
wait.
aerobic
Which-
systems.
Which land are you talking about? that's
Like at
small?
Smith Phillips, I'm using it for an example. Smith Edition out like the old Tyson plant.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
That's before our time, right?
Yeah, but that's, but we're still doing it. I know it's before the time, but we're still doing it. I'm curious why. Because before I built on anything with my husband, we always had a perk test run.
Right. So your question is, why are we putting aerobic systems in?
Why, yeah, if the perk test comes back and it doesn't perk good, why are we going ahead and putting housing there?
I might be able to answer that, Jody. The standard, they still haven't perked, but the standard changed a few years ago, and it's more difficult to put in just a septic. It's the DEA, or the environmental folks, DEQ, they've changed their standard, and what used to pass for a septic, they won't pass it anymore. They call for an aerobic system. That's why you see more aerobic.
What's the difference in price?
I don't like.
Oh, it's,
I don't either. You don't get nothing but complaints. And as soon as somebody goes through there with a lawnmower, I get calls that says, Jody, I hit it, it's $300-400, they're telling me.
it's a good, anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000-4,000 higher.
For an aerobic system?
Yeah, it's much higher. But that's the reason, it was just the standard changed, and what used to pass for septic won't pass anymore. It's called screwing around. But that perk test tells you, and they tell you what you have to do.
It changed a lot. I don't like them either.
And Charlie or David and I was gonna ask about the aerobic system too, because I have a lot of complaints about the aerobic system. And I'm just wondering, could we not have used a lagoon system out there and put all the houses on a lagoon? To me, that's almost maintenance free. If you take 50, 20, 30 homes and put a lagoon in out there, you don't have the mechanical problem with an aerobic system, especially if you get gravity flow up. This really bothers me, and I think we need to take a good look at this in the future. Is not get sites that you gotta put aerobic systems in, because council members and staff members are gonna get called back from these aerobic systems. They last all the way from 6 months to to a year, and then people are calling me because they have a $1,300 bill to get them repaired, and they just simply cannot afford those things. And I know when I used to run the water and sanitation department, David's probably right, probably standards have changed with DEQ, but it just, we used to do the MH perks, and if it didn't perk, we turned the side down, even though people wanted the side, but we just felt like if we went in and put an aerobic system in, you're just causing problems. So I'm really, feel like we need to take a better look at the sites we're getting to make sure it does perk, or if not, don't use aerobic systems, because we're just asking for problems, I'm saying, and I'm sure you know that. I'm sure you've got a lot of calls on the aerobic system, but, anyway, you know, I think I would prefer a lagoon over an aerobic system because it's less maintenance and you don't have problems, but people just didn't like lagoons on their places back then, but I think in the long term, if they understand what's going to happen with the aerobic system, they would go for the lagoon. But anyway, those are just comments that certainly would like to take a look at next housing units that we build, so we don't have that problem.
There are a lot of maintenance to them, and we
Yeah,
get
I
calls
agree.
about them, we have to send somebody out, and then people, the homeowners aren't able to, or don't take the time to do the maintenance, which
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't want one in my house either.
I agree. Mr. Stout has a question.
Yeah, I got a comment. You know, we had the lagoon system up there at LB Woods' place in Larry for years. And that thing was a constant problem. And wound up finally covered the lagoon up and put the aerobic systems in. But the aerobic system, I think, is pretty good. There's a little maintenance to it. But my son has one, and of course he's got to work on it now and then, but it works good. But I think that it's better to have the septic tank, you don't got to pump it or nothing. And I think the aerobic system will really work very good. And some people have trouble with them, knocking the tops off and this and that, but just a maintenance problem if they got to care for it a little more and know where their equipment is. But I think they're very good. Better than, unless you can build a house that use the aerobic system. And I think they're good.
And you know, I think the aerobic system is good for where they need to be, but if you build a lagoon, you gotta have a slope. You naturally gotta have a slope or a lift station to do it, so those are some pros and cons about it, so. Anyway, I have Councilor Watts has a question.
Thank you. This begs a different question, I guess. So if folks don't understand the maintenance of their house, does that mean that they're not going through that same mortgage assistance type classes where they talk about maintenance before they have home ownership and stuff? Because I don't hear the same comments from people who've been through that program about not doing home maintenance. And I had assumed all our housing programs had to do some kind of
They have to go through that program in Commerce, that's what they're talking about, yeah, they go through that program.
And they're still having these issues, okay.
I guess different, people have different way of understanding
Okay.
things, interpreting.
Very good, thank you.
What's been conveyed to them, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Thornton, you had another question?
Yes, just more or less a statement on aerobic systems. I've had one complaint in the last 12 years. And that complaint was the problem of the person that didn't keep the aerobic system maintained properly. And the housing authority at that time came out and set it back up, set it up where they could maintain it properly. But that was the complaint. I've had two people that had aerobic system that, you know, if you have one of these, you want to have it on a place where you got a pasture. And these people had run it out in their pasture, and of course it watered the grass, and they liked it, you know, they thought it was great, you know.
Yeah, it
But
does.
then you go to lagoons, and you got a lot of problems with lagoons. These lagoons can go septic on them. And when you start putting solids in a lagoon, you're going to get in trouble, because the state of Oklahoma's going to get you. And you've got to set up a lagoon system. You've got to have pumps that tears that crap up and throws it in a lagoon, and then it's got to, then it's got you'll have to have another system where it drains out of there, where the settlements can settle in that first lagoon. But then you've got another problem. If it rains and that lagoon gets full and runs over, you're in trouble again. I've run the lagoon system, a huge one. And then you've got to keep it mowed and cleaned up. And the birds come in, they plant seeds for you, and you got to cut weeds down, and then you get some kind of plant in there that's not supposed to be there. And you've really got a problem. I will tell you, I used to have a sewer's license. I know what's going on with those lagoons. But I'd rather have a aerobic system anytime than have a lagoon. Thank you.
Mr. Baker?
If the place perks, they still use regular septic tanks, right?
What?
I mean, if a place perks good, they still use old-fashioned septic tanks.
Yes,
That we've
absolutely.
used for
Yes.
years and years, and
Yeah.
little or no maintenance, and a lot cheaper, and, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Charlie, I think you've got a lot of advice on pros and cons on the sewer system, so we're gonna leave that to you to make those decisions here.
I appreciate how different views are brought out here, so either way we go, there's going to be some good and the bad, so that's fine.
Okay, I have one more comment, Mr.
I know of homes that put a regular system in and they perked. But after a few years, that septic started coming to the top of the ground. And I imagine what it costs you now is about $2,000 or better, $2,500 to put a system in, a regular sewer system.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not for sure you're gonna have a cinch deal on a septic tank. So, if it perks, you put it in there, but I guarantee you, sooner or later, if you've got a large family in the household and a lot of people using that septic system, it's liable to come to the top of the ground on it, and then you're gonna have to redo it. Thank you.
Charlie, I think,
You don't have any.
about the system, Terry. I've put in system for the last 15 or 20 years for the Cherokee Nation, so I have some background experience on septic system, aerobic systems, and lagoons. So if you need any advice, give me a call.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, one more thing, by the way, I
Okay.
think someone mentioned that I had hand-delivered some checks to churches, it came
Yes.
up, and I don't do that. That's against policy, and we just mail them out, so I just want to clarify that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, comment there. Yep.
I'll pass.
All right, Michael Lynn with Roads and Transportation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I believe you have our report as well. One thing I would like to mention is on the Nycut North project in Adair County, we have a reinforced concrete box structure scheduled to go in there. We've been working with the school systems around there, Bell and Bellefonte, to coordinate that structure replacement or installation while school's out. We're expecting that structure replacement to start around June 6th. School ends for them right now, I think on May 28th, May 26th, somewhere in that time frame. But we're going to be starting that around the first week in June after the holiday. It will require a road closure due to the depth of the structure replacement. But we only expect the road to be closed about a week to a week and a half, 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks probably in the time frame. So I wanted to make that known right now.
How big of a detour is it around there, Michael?
Mile-wise, if I remember correctly, Mr. Chairman, it was about 7 to 10 mile detour around there. If you're familiar with the area, you would probably go back down towards, turn there on Candy Mink, go across Killer Mountain, down Rock Fence Road, and back up Kirk Mountain Road or Stewart Mountain Road, some people call it.
And I guess that's just things you have to put up with. It's too deep to put a side road and thing, and what else can you do? I understand.
That's the only comment I had to make.
Okay, I had a question on the Barber Road, advertised for bid. Have you bid bid that out yet? Barbara?
We have not bid it out. We're making some last changes to the plans on a slopes area down on the Dry Creek end of the project, and we're making some changes to a slope area down there. So I anticipate that being ready to bid here just any time.
And what projects are coming up to be bid out?
Barber Road, Twin Oaks Bull Hollow in Delaware County, Cedar Crest Bridge in Mays County, and then shortly thereafter will be Cedar Crest Road in Mays County as well. Nycut South project will be going back out to bid here in the near future. So we've got several coming online.
Sounds good. Sounds great. Ms. Shorty?
As those come up for bid, will you provide us notice by email so that we can tell our constituents? Some of them don't check the website every day, and so it would be good if we know a little bit in advance of when those are going to be bid out. If we get questions, then we'll be able to answer them.
Okay. We can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions for Mike? Ms. Snell?
When you visited with the county commissioner last week, did he talk more about all the projects he had to work?
Yes.
What about the road at Kenwood? Did you look at that road, or his pictures on that road at Kenwood where he needed the 3 culverts? Do you remember that?
I mean, he showed us the whole PowerPoint slide presentation. I don't recall the pipes at Kenwood, though. I'm sure he showed it to us. Is it on Kenwood Road, or is it on?
It's south of Kenwood.
Yes, well, I'm sorry, yes, I know. There's no pipes there now.
Right.
Right, okay, I'm sorry. Actually, when we left his office, we went down there and looked at it.
Right.
Not with him, but we went. I know where he's talking about. Right there, kind of right on the Mays County and Delaware County line. Yes, we did look at that. You're familiar with that area?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge to do anything with.
Yeah, a couple of the residents that called me and asked me about that. They knew that, I guess they knew you all was down there.
Yeah, they stopped and spoke to us probably. There were several of them that stopped and spoke to us while we were there. But yeah, we did leave there that day and go look at that.
We are working towards trying to do something with it.
Trying to come up with a solution. I know the commissioner's got and his engineer looking into it as well. I haven't spoke with the engineer yet to find out what he's got in mind, but we did look at it and kind of kick some things around.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions for Michael? Okay, Michael. Next on it is the public comment section for Michael. And Michael always has his standing orders for the public comment sections, and seeing none, I thank you for your report, Michael.
Thank you, guys.
Next is David Sullivan's house. David? Good morning. Good morning.
I got a lagoon story. About 5-6 years ago, we get a call from a DEQ person in Ottawa County telling me I have a lagoon up there that it needs some work because storm come through and we blew over a tree, and the tree was a part of the banking and it just wiped it out. And I said, man, you must be of the wrong tribe. We don't have any lagoons in Ottawa County. And as I sometimes am, I was wrong.
I know where those lagoons are.
Yeah, I mean, Quapaw, we're east of there. I think we was in Missouri there. And, so I didn't really care if we ran it off of the Missouri. We had to go fix it. Sure enough, we got a lagoon right near in Missouri. Start my report with the disclosures. We got one. Trying to find it. Lady named Ann Payton Fountain. She's Ann of one of my housing rehab folks, Roy Poteet. She's going to get a little emergency assistance or handicap accessibility. That's the one disclosure. I want to talk a little bit about the 2011 funding. Marvin broke it down. He got a little more information from last night. The cut in that was not as big as we were expecting. To compare it to the 2010 funding, and keep in mind these are not final numbers, but this is the projection Marvin did, and he's always pretty close. 2010 we got 31.7 million in the Indian Housing Block Grant. For 2011 we're looking at 28.2 million, which is a 7.3% decrease, but also as you all know, the Delaware issue, or not the Delaware issue, the UKB issue was resolved last year. and we did have to give up $1 million, so that takes into account $1 million. At one point, we were projected more like 24 million, so this is a whole lot better news than what we had projected to begin with. So we're happy about that. The Delawares, the Delaware funds come through the tribe. It's a pass-through. Just to make you aware that we deal with the housing authority in the Delaware tribe now. The tribe itself has taken some action to make themselves the recipient, so we're going to have to figure that in to this Indian housing plan that Marvin's preparing now. So I hope not, it doesn't delay it at all, but it could.
Ms. Jordan.
I know you said last night, David, that we were going to have to establish a place for the 2012 money by, I believe you said July 18th.
I think that's the deadline.
What do you anticipate that we'll have in that 2012 money?
Right now, in the president's budget, he proposed at the 2010 level, at $700 million for all of Indian housing. So it would be more than we got in 2011.
So it might be maybe 30 million.
I think it'll be real comparable to the 2011.
Well, okay, this is April, and I checked, and we had about $46 million in the HOSTA funding left at the end of 2010 that had not been utilized, 46 million and some change.
I think that's correct.
We're just less than maybe 6 weeks out from having a requirement to allocate another 28.2 million by July 1. And that would be the 2011 money. The 2012 money, by July 18th, we need to have some preliminary plan to allocate those funds of an approximate $30 million. With what we had left over, with what we have coming up, we're well into about $110 million that we need to make plans for in housing money. That's not taking into consideration stimulus funds that have to be utilized for housing, and not taking into consideration proceeds of sale which are available at the housing authority between 20 and 24 million. Folks, I would ask the chairperson to consider setting up a sub-housing committee meeting so that we can talk about the amount of funds that we have and what our plans are for housing. We don't want to run right up to July 1, as we sometimes do, and not get a good review of the potential plan for over $100 million, nearing really almost $130 million of housing funds. And so I would ask, Harley, I would ask for you to set that meeting today, and while we have all the group leaders here, and get that information of the meeting date to Marvin, so that we can get everybody here and we can start talking about these funds, if that would be a possibility, that you would entertain that idea.
We'll talk
I
about
think it's
that before the
becoming
end of the
a critical time for us. In addition, I would like to ask him one final question, just for your consideration, David. Is there a time when if we fail to use these funds timely, that there's a possibility we could close out a grant and lose money back to the government because we didn't use it?
Actually, I think that the answer is no. I don't think that
We just knew we're going to roll them all.
Well, even with the old HUD, I don't know if it was a deadline. What they looked at was having 90% of it obligated after 2 years. That's gone away. There really is no deadline with this new format. There really isn't a new deadline.
But would you not agree with almost $130 million on the table for housing funds, that if we roll a good portion of that into the economy within the 14 counties, that it would make a big difference in job availability and
one of the things
sanitary housing?
that we do have done over the years is like the 2011 money, which we're talking about that. It's obviously 2011 now, but we won't start spending it until October 1st of 2012. So we're really kind of a year behind on the spending just because the money's not available until usually May, June, or July, the fiscal year that it's supposed to be. That's, one of the things that we do is try to plan it that way. But yes, it needs to be talked about and get the plans together.
And I would renew my request, Harley, that we need to do something quickly.
Well, I agree, then we'll talk about maybe getting a subcommittee going here in just a little bit.
Thank you.
I had
Thank you, David.
Councilor Garden, you had a question?
Yes. David, a couple of months ago, you mentioned something about the FEMA trailers. What's the progress on those?
I was going to mention that. We went down last Tuesday. We've been awarded 4. We asked for 50, we got 4. But the Friday or Thursday before, they called and said, we've got 5 extras somebody didn't pick up or not going to get. Do you want them? And we said yes. So we've got 9. We went and got 9 last week. And we think there's going to be a possibility to get a few more, just from people not picking them up. But the word is that they want to get rid of all they got down there in 90 days. So we're still hoping to pick those up. There's still a slim possibility of getting some of those from Cooks and Hills.
So what is the plan to pick, what time do you pick them up?
The FEMA trailers and Hope, we've already picked those 9 up. We've got them sitting, let's see, some of them here in Tahlequah at the mobile home place, and then some somewhere else at the mobile home place. I don't remember who the other vendor was. But there's an application process for these ones at Cooks and Hill through the state. They tell me the tribe's not eligible, but the housing authority is. But it's still an application process, has to be approved before we get it. So we're in that stage of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, David, just to keep me straight, there'd be 28 million and 30 million, which would be $58 million that we won't even have access to until 2012. Is that right?
I think that
Because you can't spend FY11 funds probably until October of 12. Then you get the 12 funds, which is another 30 million, so there's 58 million that we're not even.
Well, those 2012 funds would definitely not be available until later on in 2012.
Yeah, and then you said a while ago that the 11 funds wouldn't be available to spend until.
Yeah, well, they would actually be probably available if they got there July 1st. Technically, you could probably start spending them about mid-August or
So
September.
there would be some fun. Okay.
But October 1st is when we'll start using those. That's been the general plan.
And then what I understand, the cuts that come out this year, they weren't just a 6% or an 8% across the board, they were line item cuts between all and the halls of funding. Am I understanding that right? Because I know the road program took a big cut in the halls of funding.
I think the way I understand it is when the committees came together back several months ago, there was a $700 million for Indian housing number. That was reduced by 50. That was cut by 50. And then I think there was a 0.2% across the board cut for everything. I'm elated, to be honest with you. It came out a lot better than what we were looking at.
Anything else, David?
That's all I have.
Any more questions for David? Okay, thanks, David. Next is Anna, housing report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you have a copy of my report, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have one question.
Okay.
We talked about 302 families unable to obtain non-predatory mortgages on their own, have completed self-sufficiently counseling, and obtain non-predatory loans. Now, did they get the loans? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They got loans and they improved their credit and reduced their debt to income ratio and were able to qualify for a mortgage loan that was within 2% of the market rate. But annual percentage rate was.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that. Okay, that's fishing on.
The other day, I got a comment, a lady that you all helped from Adair County with her foreclosure. She said you all really took care of it quickly.
Good.
In a professional manner. She was really happy, because she called me out and said, Jody, they were wonderful.
Good. Those are tough ones to try to help and handle too, so good, I'll pass that along, and thank you.
Any more questions for Ann? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on the agenda, old business, I see none, and new business, I see none. So, looks like we're coming to the end of the meeting, but I do want to talk about a housing subcommittee meeting. What I would propose, and I would go ahead and lead that group, is probably a meeting on the 28th. That's the day of the rules and executive and finance. And maybe propose an 11 o'clock meeting that day, and we'll see if we can't get that scheduled on the 28th. And we'll have Marvin Jones come over that day to give us an update with you, David, and whoever else you need to bring to that particular meeting.
Actually, I'll be out of town that day.
Okay. Well, Marvin, I'm sure will probably come over then. Okay.
Yeah, way ready.
I don't remember who all was on the old housing subcommittee group, but work group, we have a list of them, and I might have Shelley just to email that out to the work group. But anybody on this committee is more than welcome to come. And I don't think I need a motion to have the meeting. I'll just call a special meeting for that day. So we'll set it at 11 a.m. on the 28th. And David, if you would contact Marvin, make sure that he has the date, I would appreciate that. So.
Oh, calendar reminder as well.
Okay, and Shelley will email the rest of the committee. Okay, any more questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Folks were mentioning on the 28th, I guess you got a Salina open house that day.
Yeah, I think that's the dedication that day. It's on
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. I don't know, we could have it after that, after the executive and finance committee meeting, but it just kind of loses people after those meetings. I'll tell you what, the dedication at Salina is a dedication for the dental clinic, isn't it? So it's at 10 o'clock?
Yes.
Let's move this until, we can move it at 11:30, then we'll see if we can get some lunch brought in. That'll give us time to get over from the Salina clinic. Okay? So Shelley, if you'd make note that we'll start at 11:30 and try to have some lunch catered in that day, and we'll go ahead and proceed with that subgroup meeting. So any more comments? No, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you.